good news for now, but whether or not it's going to stay that way, we really need a lot more rainfall to keep us a little bit higher and ahead of anything going on where it comes to anything involving more wildfire danger across the area. We are decently behind. We'll check out the almanac here in just a little bit to see what we're looking at, again, into the way of lack of rainfall, and we could desperately use some more coming up in the course of the next couple of days. So that, again, is going to be some pretty problematic issues as we go into around the area of next week, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Okay, it looks like we are live, and it looks like everything is working where the audio is concerned, I think, for right now. Okay, so far so good there. One last check. I do everything here, so I have to check on everything happening where it comes to audio, cameras, everything else. So just want to make sure that everybody can hear me before we get too far into a situation where I'm doing weather pantomime. So stay tuned for just 1 second here. And I think we've got just about everything and testing. And there we go. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. We are live on my YouTube channel, so apologies, it was supposed to be on News 12, but we may have to change that up. See why I'm logged in under another name here, I guess. All right, Wednesday night, things are decently quiet. We have had some thunderstorms across the area. Most of what we've been looking at, again, throughout the evening. By the way, welcome to Weather Overtime. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onek, keeping you updated with a little bit more about what's happening across the area. This is the News 12 viewing area. This is southeast Tennessee, western North Carolina, north central, northwest Georgia, and extreme northeastern Alabama. That is our coverage area of counties, keeping track of the weather in these locations and trying to keep an eye as to what is going on. Looking at the area just to the north and west of Chattanooga, we do have some pretty good thunderstorms east of Murfreesboro and south of I-40, right to the southwest of the Cookeville area. And that is the only thunderstorms we have. Probably some pretty good lightning up around Cumberland, Bledsoe, Ray, back over toward Grundy and Sequatchie counties, looking back to the northwest. Maybe we'll catch some of those on the cameras coming up in just a little bit. Now, beyond that, we have some dying showers that were some stronger thunderstorms, western North Carolina, northwest Georgia, and more activity all the way back over to the east of us. Let's take a look at, that's High Top, National Weather Service, Huntsville. Let's spin up Peachtree City. And we've got, again, some minor thunderstorms south of Asheville down toward Greenville. That's about it. Those are moving away from us. We'll continue again to see the potential. Let's go up to Nashville and just see how nasty those storms are there. Doesn't look like much. We have no advisories of any type. More thunderstorms northeast of Nashville, and that again drifting on over to the east-southeast with a few lightning strikes, but nothing huge. So it looks like for now severe weather potential. Not really seeing a good possibility there, but we may see the potential of more storms into the next couple of days, and we'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. Downtown from the Bailey's Heating and Air camera, quiet again, looking back to the northeast. A little bit of a breeze out there, at least higher up. The geostrophic winds doing a good job of sending Old Glory at the top of some of the buildings out there into around this from the east-southeast going back to the north-northwest. So we are picking up just a bit of a breeze. What's left of some sunlight, you can see some of the very light colors of sunset left over on the Plainview Outdoor Advertising camera. From the News 12 studios, north flank of Lookout Mountain on the Patriot Concrete camera with Ruby Falls showing up with the lights there. Back to the area of the North Shore, Chattanooga Theater Center. A few folks out and about for a stroll and a bike ride on the footbridge, but otherwise not too many folks out and about on the North Shore overlooking the Tennessee River on the left-hand side of your screen across toward the downtown area. Let's go out a little farther. Take a look at what's going on at the Chattanooga Zoo camera. Erlanger Hospital out in the distance, and again, a very faint glow of sunset behind the clouds out there on the horizon. so not doing too bad there. And last but not least, traffic was expected to be a bit of a problem. And again, a parking lot pretty much at 2475 looking north from the Chattanooga Tomahawk crane and rigging camera. The airport is just over the horizon past that bridge and the tree line up there. So at the Chattanooga airport tonight, temperatures are back in the lower to mid 80s, and we continue again to see some very muggy conditions. Humidity at 65%, dew point of 70. The temperatures again from the air temperature and the dew point temperature combined to give us that relative humidity, and it is pretty sultry. It feels like 88 degrees across, much of the area. That southeast wind stirring the air around a little bit, but definitely not helping out cool anybody off. 97 the high, came within 6 of a record high temperature that hasn't been broken since 1980. For those of you who weren't around, 1980 was a very hot year all across the country, especially in the Midwest where I grew up, and also here with that record high that hasn't been broken. 58, the record low temperature. That is a very high record low. Imagine a record low temperature of 60 degrees and that's it. That pretty much says that you are right smack in the middle of hot conditions, right in the middle of summertime when you have record low temperatures. That not cool. That would be nice, yes, but it is not anything in the way of very chilly conditions out there, to be certain. 0.09 of an inch, no rainfall officially recorded yesterday, so we have not picked up anything else from the airport, so we are now 2 3/4 inches behind. We are now officially over half a foot behind on rainfall for 2024. So this is starting to feel a lot more like 2022, where we picked up not much in the way of rain except in fits and spurts, and even then it wasn't enough to give us a even break-even year of no plus or minus. It was a very dry year back in 2022, and it looks like we might be working on that once again. We'll see how well that turns out later on. Temperatures again at the top of the hour. We are back into the 70s and a few 80s, but otherwise not bad. Some 90s showing up earlier on, and those temperature spreads continue across the southeast United States. High 70s to lower 80s. No sign of any 60s, no sign of any 90s either at this hour, so not doing too bad for the time being. Overnight, not great news. We'll be seeing low temperatures dropping their way into the lower to mid 70s at best, and that is going to be about as good as it gets. So for right now, we really don't have much in the way of very cool weather shaping up for us anytime soon. So it would be nice, but as of right now, we just do not have anything in the way of a lot of hope for anything in the way of anything really cool happening. Now, the temperatures over the next several days with this new cold front, yes, it is possible that we could see some downturns in temperatures, but that for this time of the year is pretty much about as close to an Arctic blast as we are going to get. You remember the record low temperatures of just below 60 degrees? That's about as good as it gets for us at this time of the year. So what are we looking for? Dying front back to the east of us, a new front on its way back to the west of us, and it's already starting to show signs of slowing down. We've got a bit of a stationary front here, so this by tomorrow morning is just northwest of us for now. Tomorrow morning it'll be wandering its way on through, but between these two things here and a decent shove of moisture coming in from off the Gulf, we are seeing better potential of this moisture acting as fuel, and then the trigger will be this next cold front coming in from the north. Giving it to you in graphic format here again. Tomorrow morning, 60s and 70s with isolated showers and thunderstorms continuing. Highs tomorrow north of that front, mid to upper 80s. South of the front, triple digits down toward Augusta, pushing that in Montgomery and Macon, and lower to mid 90s along. It depends on how far south that front actually makes it. For Friday, again, upper 60s to lower to mid 70s for lows with some isolated showers and thunderstorms possible there. For Friday afternoon, that front just south of us, that'll be good enough for some more thunderstorms. Most of the activity taking place along and south of that front. Saturday morning, that area of low pressure develops and moves our direction, which again will be enough to stir up more moisture from the Gulf. It's going to be not quite as hot into the weekend. Very good news. Wish I could say that it's going to be dry and comfortable, but that is several days off. So for right now, the opportunity to get the humidity out of the air, that's not happening for better part of a week or so. Sunday morning, 60s and 70s once again. And then as we go towards Sunday afternoon, mid to high 80s. Some 90s back with the drier air sitting just north of the front, but that's not going to help us out. So mid to upper 80s into the weekend. And every single day through the rest of the week, into the weekend, and next week, more chances of showers and thunderstorms will again be a problem. Now, we did not have anything in the way of heat advisories today, and most of them have been knocked out except down toward Louisiana and southwestern Mississippi. So there are a couple still out there, and of course a lot of activity going on in the desert southwest where it's expected to be hot, but at least that heat dome is starting to lessen by just a little bit. So some fairly good news there. Taking a look at the 7-day forecast, we will go excuse me, the next several days with more chances of showers and thunderstorms, excuse me, every single day, and we will see that potential of showers and thunderstorms continue right on into next week. Now, for outdoor activities, football, soccer, baseball, softball, 2-a-days coming up. Marching band practice at local schools probably relatively soon. Anything going on outdoors in the near term, vacation, Bible school, outdoor gardening, hiking, fishing, canoeing, whatever you've got, it's going to be very warm and it's going to be very humid. So you're going to need something to replace the water your body sweats away. So let's remember to keep ourselves hydrated. And remember, again, anytime this week, especially afternoon and evening, if you see lightning or you hear thunder, or you get any detections of lightning on your phone, you can use apps like Radar Scope and websites like lightningmaps.org to take a look at what is happening and where. If it gets close enough to you, usually sporting events start trying to get people to safety when those storms are within about 10 to 20 miles, give or take. It depends on the venue. But if they start getting close enough to you or you see lightning, you do not want to be out on the golf course holding a big metal rod and just waiting for the storm to pass. You need to be back indoors again in a safe place. So anytime through the rest of the week, this weekend, and into next week, yes, the temperatures are going to be a little bit less, but you do still need to be very careful out there. So please remember, when thunder roars, go indoors. Let's be very, very cautious out there in the next several days. All right, quick check to the tropics. Again, that front coming in with tropical moisture. The last update as of about 4 o'clock did show that we had a couple of areas in the eastern Pacific. Let me just double check that for a minute. Okay, disturbance number 1 remains at 30% for the next 2 to 7 days. Number 2 remains at 0 to 20%. That's not right. Hang on, I'm working on old data here, so let me see. 30 and 30 on the one on the left and 0 and 20 on the one on the right. Okay, that is updated as of 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So we've got 2 disturbances here, both, again, very widespread, disorganized mess for the most part. Now, going over to the Atlantic. The good news here is we are not seeing anything at this time in the way of any problems for right now. What we are watching for is, again, the potential of anything developing. If you've watched the last couple of nights, we have talked about anything in the way of a threat coming in from the Atlantic and the Gulf and the Caribbean, which is where most of these storms will form at this time of the year, and then off into the what is called the intertropical convergence zone. You see high pressure out over the area close to that very small dot right there of Bermuda. Again, that area of high pressure is helping to keep things quiet, but it is also, again, circulating some of that moisture-rich air from off the what is called the ITCZ, the Intertropical Convergence Zone, and we have most of that going down to around South America. But we do need to watch, and are in fact watching, the area just off of Africa, because it is sending a ton of dust from the Sahara out over the Atlantic. And the models are going to be moving that farther to the west over the next few days. That plume is very healthy, and it's going to bring a lot of dust and sand several hundred to a few thousand feet up, and that is going to do a good job of covering. Let me get that back to early next week. Again, a lot of that sand and dust is going to be setting up right over the Gulf Stream, right over the loop current, and then down into around north of South America. That, again, should do a very good job of giving us not much of anything in the way of development over the next several days. That is good news in and of itself, because the more thick the dust and more often the dust makes its way off the Sahara coming this way is going to stop the development of anything involving, or at least curtail it. Stopping it totally, that might be a little difficult to say, but at least we are seeing less in the way of problems. Remember that we have had the forecast of a very active season, and this is helping to push back the development of any storms. However, there is a very big problem in the sense that we have temperatures like this in the mid to high 80s. Anything above 80 degrees is, again, rocket fuel for any storms that develop or move over this area. Now, yes, again, the dust and sand from the Sahara is helping, but remember that Beryl formed in a pocket. The dust was surrounding Beryl, and Beryl and that pocket of moisture-rich air made its way from the area around Hispaniola into areas around the western Gulf and was able to become a Category 5 hurricane, even with the dry and dusty conditions surrounding that storm. So it is possible that we could be looking at anything developing well off to the west and moving our direction. It could take full advantage of this situation. And this is something that we really need to watch, because if you're going to the beach, the Keys, Florida, the Gulf Coast, the East Coast, heading out on a cruise, maybe going down to around Puerto Rico, any vacation close to the water, anywhere around the Gulf, the Caribbean, and the Atlantic, you're going to have to watch very carefully to make certain you're not going into a situation where you're going to have to turn back around and head back out of. So I implore you, I beg you, I ask you nicely, if you are going to be doing any vacationing toward the ocean waters, you are really going to have to watch what is happening, because of the fact that we have got some very dicey conditions. All it's going to take is one storm to really cause problems. Now, also, what usually happens is when you have a storm system move over these waters, in fact, a pretty powerful storm like a major Category 3, 4, or 5, that stirs up the ocean water. It causes upwelling of colder water beneath it, and usually you can tell on the satellites, checking out the temperatures, you can tell where that storm was by where it leaves that trail of colder water behind. That did not happen with Beryl, because the top layer of the ocean surface is heated up to such an extent that there was no cool down. Again, that's climate change, human-induced fossil fuel-driven climate change, and that is exactly what we are looking at right here, to where the ocean did not cool off. It heated immediately back up again and reset itself for the next storm or storms coming on through. So we've got a desperately bad situation getting worse here, and if you are going to be doing any vacationing, it's going to really be a very good idea to depend, again, on the information we get from NOAA, the National Hurricane Center, all the forecast agencies, that if you see something developing way out here, it's going to affect things way back here in not too much time. Remember, it took Otis last year in the Pacific to go from a tropical storm to a Category 5 in just about 9 hours. That could easily happen with situations and temperatures like this. So please pay attention, keep it tuned to News 12, and we'll let you know more about what may be heading our direction. All right, want to let you know again about this. There's been some rather interesting posturing politically regarding NOAA. Apparently, NOAA talks too much about climate change, and the idea is that if we remove NOAA and give them over to a private agency that will not mention climate change, the problem will go away. For those of you saying that there is no problem with climate change, yes, there is, and we as humans are causing it, and you need to look into what is happening and why, instead of just towing a party line. I'm not doing that. I'm offering science and giving you an idea as to how you can learn a little bit more about what our tax dollars pay for. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is directly under the United States Department of Commerce, a cabinet-level position. Under that, issuing watches, warnings, information from that branches of the National Weather Service, including the National Hurricane Center, including NOAA marine debris studies, including NOAA fisheries, including shipping forecasts. All of that goes on. And this is a very rare thing to happen, but the National Weather Service in Morristown, Tennessee, one of the 4 National Weather Services that cover the News 12 viewing area, is offering an open house coming up September 28th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can meet the meteorologist and specialists and ask them questions. What does NOAA do with our tax dollars? How does it do what it does? Is what they do fake science? And if anybody out there is one of those who employs that moniker somehow, the fake news, fake science, I would urge you to go to a National Weather Service office open house and be able to ask questions intelligently, politely, and say, well, I heard this, and then maybe the National Weather Service meteorologist and scientists will be able to help you understand better that it is not all about fake science. It's not even close to that. And if you'd like to know more about this and why NOAA is so important and why we should stick with NOAA and not go to a private agency, just because some people think that diminishing or getting rid of an agency will automatically stop talk about climate change, the rest of the world is already talking about it. Going backwards by privatizing weather information that we're already paying for with our tax dollars is a very short-sighted and kind of not really smart thing to do. So if you'd like to know more about what the NWS does under NOAA and the Department of Commerce, drop by, find out more. It's worth the trip. Morristown, Tennessee, 5974 Commerce Boulevard in Morristown, 37814. You can find out more at weather.gov/MRX. That's the 3-letter code for the National Weather Service in Morristown, or you can go to wdef.com/weather. It's on the forecast page just beneath the forecast, and you can find out a lot more by checking out what's happening there. All right, still no chats, drop-bys, or waves hello, or anything like that. So nice to see everybody signing up these days. So thank you very much for stopping by on that. One more update here of something you can do to get your kids interested in science, and I finally got the graphic fixed so we can see this properly. If you'd like to know more from Barnard Astronomical Society of Chattanooga, they are holding another star party where you get to look through binoculars and telescopes. It's going to be held at Cloudland Canyon August 3rd. That's coming up in a couple weeks, 8:30 to 11 p.m. Again, this is absolutely, completely, and totally weather dependent. If there's rain and thunderstorms, there's no point in having a star party and setting up the telescopes in the first place. So if you'd like to know more, follow them on their website and follow them on social media. I believe they're on Facebook, Twitter, and a couple of other places. So if you'd like to know more and to join them at the Cloudland Canyon State Park Disc Golf Area in Rising Fawn, Georgia, you don't need to bring any equipment. Just show up and look through the telescopes. Family-friendly, accessible, and, as they say, guaranteed awesome. What more could you ask for from learning about astronomy, a very cool branch of the sciences? And again, if you'd like to know more, barnardastronomy.org for more details if you'd like to know more or get your kids involved in astronomy. If you have questions about an up-and-coming astronomer and what telescope you should get them for a holiday gift, with that holiday season is coming up before you know it. And if you'd like to know more about their advice, show up and ask them. Great folks, great opportunity to pass along the love of astronomy and science to the next generation. So find out a lot more, again, at barnardastronomy.org for more details there. All right, a beautiful view and some atmospheric optics here. A nice shot of a rainbow within the storm clouds taken from Fort Morgan, Alabama. Thank you very much, News 12 viewer Gerald Barnes from Stevenson, Alabama. The neat thing about atmospheric optics is you have to have the right amount of moisture at a certain level. So you have to have just enough raindrops, not too many thick clouds, not too thick of any rainfall, and you need to have the sunlight coming in at the right angle, the right amount, and you have to be in the right position to be able to see all of this, which, rotating the tumblers and the locks, Mr. Barnes got a very neat picture here to show that rainbow right in the middle with the rising or setting sun. I'm not too sure which one it is, but that would have to be at a low angle to be able to see that. But spectacular picture. Thank you very much, Gerald Barnes from Stevenson, for an awesome shot there. If you got pictures, we would love to show them and let everybody see them, but we can't show them until you send them. You kind of see the problem we're dealing with here. So if you've got pictures, drop them to our social media pages. You can email them to us, or you can go to our website, wdef.com/photos. You can see what other people are submitting, and you can submit your pictures on that website as well. So please drop them off and take a look and see what everybody is looking at there. All right, into tomorrow. Again, one last look at the forecast for out of doors. We'll be seeing more chances of showers and thunderstorms, so get set to get to shelter should it become necessary. Otherwise, temperatures will be very warm, but hopefully not anything in the way of blazing hot. The clouds and the rain should block out enough of the sun, and as that front comes through the area, temperatures may be just a little bit more palatable. But once again, if you're out on the golf course, this is something that you are really going to have to take a look at, because we are going to see the potential of stronger thunderstorms coming on through, and that, again, could be a bit of a problem for anything going on outdoors. So please keep an eye on what's going on with the sky. I don't think we're going to have too much of anything in the way of severe weather possibilities, but I do think that it's going to be time to make certain that we are paying very, very close attention, because this is going to be something that could be dangerous. So let's make certain we are all paying very close attention to what's going on with the weather. I do not have the friendinroofing.com poll of the day. It was about retired hurricane names, so we do not have that going on, but I do have tomorrow's one already set up and ready for you to vote on, and this is one about current events taking place. So if you haven't seen this just yet, and I'll get the website here for you in just a little bit, but this morning, local time in Dubai, Wednesday, the 17th of July, the heat index at the airport in Dubai was 99, 119, 129, or 139 degrees. That poll is up and ready to go. If you would like to see more, please go to wdef.com/vote now if you would like to take a look at that and vote. The information is one of these out there. You can take a guess on that and vote for our friendinroofing.com weather poll of the day. But at 5 o'clock in the morning, the heat index was one of these numbers, and that is scary enough on its own to really think about there. That is really just absolutely awesome on that. And part of that information comes from the Twitter feed, or pardon me, I should say X feed, of extreme temperatures around the world on X. The climatologist and weather historian M. Herrera, their handle on X is @extremetemps. And if you'd like to follow along, that is where I got the information from, if you'd like to see what's going on there. And in many other places all over the world, Romania having its hottest night ever with a minimum of 29.8 Celsius. That's incredible to take a look at. That is about 83 degrees. That was the low temperature in Romania there. In Kherson, Ukraine, record low temperature of 26.2. And again, that's just shy of 80 degrees, if I'm not mistaken there. So again, some great information as we take a look at extreme weather across the rest of the world. We are double checking what's going on with burn bans, and there are some burn bans. North Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama do not have burn bans in effect, but the state of Georgia, their website from the Georgia Environmental Protection Division does have plenty of burn bans in and around here. Now, again, they're talking about allowed burn types, and there are 13 different burn types if you'd like to take a look and see which one. There's all sorts of things here that show you can burn this, but you can't burn that. There is the burning of prescribed government property or firefighting training or using open flame devices. It depends on which county you're in and which burn ban is available here. So the information available from EPD, the Environmental Protection Division.georgia.gov. We're going to be putting together a map and more information about why this is so important as we go throughout the next few days and weeks. But once again, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Alabama do not have any active burn bans in effect. Georgia does, but it depends on your location, and it depends on what the county governments have said you can and you cannot burn. But at this time of the year, you got to make certain that you can. If you need to burn something, great. But again, burning something when the rainfall amount is half a foot behind for the year may not be the best idea. So check with the experts and see what exactly is the best idea for burning at this time of the year if you absolutely have to. Maybe you can let that go until we get into the wetter season of the year, but just something to think about there. Wouldn't be such a bad idea to wait. Think that should do it for tonight. Still no updates on YouTube or Twitter, no chat introductions or anything, so some good news there. Again, the good news for us is we are looking at some less hot conditions over the next several days, but it is still going to be very steamy, so plan ahead for some very sultry, not dry, not totally cool conditions, and let's all be careful out there. Chip Chapman will have your forecast bright and early tomorrow morning, and of course I'll be back tomorrow evening with another update of Weather Overtime. If you've got any thing you want to send to us, if you like Weather Overtime, if you want to see more of one thing, less of another, please let us know. The email address at the bottom of your screen, aonic@wdef.com. You can reach all of us at News 12 at our website at the bottom of the screen by the News 12 logo. WDEF.com is our website. WDEF.com/weather is our main site there. And of course, you can pick up the 7-day forecast down in the lower section of your screen. Trying to point to that on both screens, but my cameras don't line up for YouTube and Twitch at the same time. But in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, you can see the 7-day forecast that we just showed you, and you can pick that up along with other graphics at WDEF.com/weather. Think that should do it. Please stay safe from the heat. Please stay safe from, again, getting struck by lightning. Let's all be careful out there. We got a lot more summer to go through, and if you're heading for anywhere around the coastline or out into the ocean, time to be weather aware and watch what's going on with the tropics. It is not the time of year to let your guard down. Even for us, we could catch a leftover portion of those storms, and that's not what you want to be stuck in if you can possibly avoid it. All right, live and direct from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onek. Thanks for joining us for Weather Overtime for Peak of the Week Wednesday, and stay tuned for more with News 12 coming up on air and online.